what is a brighter future? Where are we presently positioned in relation to this future, and what obstacles lie between us and it? What's the purpose of education at present? Is this purpose the cultivation of the brighter future we're striving toward? And if not, what must change about education in order to orient it toward our goal? These are the questions we're going to engage with here. The end to which we aspire is a brighter future. Therefore, we must determine what that brighter future is. We must also, however, avoid the common slip-up of mistaking a less dark present for a brighter future, of mistaking reform for liberation. We must examine our present circumstances, recognize the faults, and determine the principles of society based not on those faults, but embody. So to do this, let us examine America. American society is shaped by power hierarchies. These hierarchies give one group power over another, and the dynamic that they produce creates constructed categories and necessarily dichotomizes the people, placing them in oppositional positions. As such, class antagonisms, racism, sexism, homophobia, and so on are features of our society which seem inescapable. Exploitation, domination, and oppression, ills we seemingly can't do away with. This is our present situation. The faults are evident. Our brighter future is a society absent of these faults. One absent of power hierarchies, absent of constructed categories, and absent of the dichotomous relationships these things produce and reproduce. A society which embodies true democracy, which embodies cooperation amongst the people, and which embodies the cultivation of self-management within the people. The path toward this future is transformational. It is liberating. It's revolutionary. Education at present serves the ends of the ills I mentioned earlier. We are taught to soak up information, not to inquire. We are conditioned to accept mundanity, not to seek out adventure. We are pushed to conform, not to learn ourselves. We are told to bow down to authority of any kind, not to challenge authority, and not to self-manage. We are socialized to take our designated positions in the hierarchies present in our society, and if we reject those positions, we are told to find our way up the hierarchy, taught the steps to gain power over our peers. How convenient for the status quo. We are taught to be exploited, dominated, oppressed, and if we dare say, not me, then we are taught to be exploiters, to be dominators, to be oppressors. Taught either way to maintain the same status quo which disenfranchised us and disempowered us to begin with. See, our question today, we must examine it with a critical lens. To leverage education as it stands at present would be to serve the same ends it served, and that I mentioned earlier. To overcome obstacles as we conceive of them at present would be to rearrange the hierarchical order, for us to move from being disempowered to holding power over others. The brighter future implied here is one where we are the rulers, where we are the oppressors, not one where we have no rulers and where we have no oppressors. We must change the question. How can we transform society through education? How can we liberate ourselves through education? How can we become a revolutionary movement through education? To mirror the question better, how can we overcome what education is at present to cultivate the brighter future we're striving toward? The answer: education to empower the people. Education to prefigure the society we seek to create. Education for the ends of liberation. In 2 words: liberatory education. We must be prompted to inquire about our present situation with a critical lens. Through this inquiry, we build up our political consciousness, and we come to recognize that we are in fact not free. But this recognition alone will not prompt transformational action. We may recognize that we are in bondage, but not realize that we are meant to be free. So our liberatory education must also prompt us to inquire about ourselves. This inquiry, in conjunction with the former, leads us to recognize that the only situation fitting for us is one of freedom, because freedom is something innate to us. And through it, we come to internalize the fact that we are free people who deserve freedom, as I just said. But this internalization alone only reignites the desire for liberation. Our liberatory education must do more than that. It must prefigure the society we seek to create. We must, through it, learn to self-manage, build a spirit for cooperation, and gain the ability to organize ourselves horizontally. This is what makes it an education for the ends of liberation. I posit to you all today that our brighter future is the liberation of all from what stands at present. Education, as it's currently conceptualized, is a barrier to that. And if we're to overcome that barrier, then we must do so through transformational education. And because I have more time, I'm going to keep going. We must do that through transformational education. It's nice to imagine that some reforms may very well get us to where we're trying to go. It's nice to imagine that our situation just requires some minor tweaks, some little shifts in who we put in office, some little shifting of the funds that they put out. It's nice to imagine that this is a small problem. But the reality of it is that this is a structural problem, and it requires structural change. And if our education does not prefigure that structural change, then we won't see any real change. And the only way to prefigure that change is to do it with liberatory education. Thank you.